Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a little bit of a different video, one that I'm really excited for because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that I want to address. Well, not a lot of stuff, but there's just a few things that I want to address and talk about. And I also feel like this video will just be a way for you guys to get to know me a little bit more, and it'll just be super fun. Also, so I actually already filmed this video, but if you watch one of my recent vlogs, I talked about how I filmed it, began editing, and realized there was a big chunk of lettuce in my teeth. So yeah, I couldn't use any of that footage. I was like, should I just ignore it? But it's like, you couldn't ignore it. It was such a large piece of lettuce. That's okay, because honestly, I mean, I'll talk about this a little bit in this video, but I have been in a rut and I am doing a lot of stuff now to kind of pull myself out of it. But when I filmed that video, which was literally last week, like not much time has passed, but when I filmed that, I was like really down in the dumps, and I just feel like it was a little bit of a negative video, and some of this stuff is deep, but I didn't want it to be so harsh and just negative like it was. So blessing in disguise, because I'm ready to refilm. I also am just less rushed today, more cozy, just in the vibe. And so yeah, I will be reacting to your assumptions about me. I asked you guys on Instagram to leave your assumptions, and they were brutal. Some of them were brutal, but here we are. So I selected a few, and yeah, let's just get into it. So the first one is, it's hard for you to come up with ideas for your podcast. And this is absolutely true. Less so now. I feel like I'm getting a little bit more into the rhythm again. But when I first released my podcast, I had so many things I wanted to talk about. They were like backlogged, you know, because I had been wanting to do a podcast for a while. But then I talked about everything I had already thought about talking about, and I was like, I am fresh out of ideas. I have nothing left to talk about. I have no idea what to talk about. And it became this like chore and this like thing over my head that I was constantly like, ugh, I didn't do that again this week. And it really became like a negative space for me, which is exactly the opposite of what I wanted it to be. I really want my podcast to be an outlet for me and for you, where I'm really open and honest and can teach some advice and just life lessons and things like that. And when I'm not feeling inspired, like, it's obvious, and my content reflects it. And also it defeats the purpose, because if I'm not inspired about something, how can I expect that what I say is gonna inspire you? Like, I wanna feel like I am so passionate about something that there's no way you guys won't feel passionate about it too when I'm done with the episode. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, but I mean, a lot of that stemmed from me not feeling inspired in my life, and I think a little bit more and more I'm getting more inspired and thinking again. I was sort of like in a robotic state of mind for a lot of months, and it kind of was like unannounced to me, like it was subconscious. I didn't realize how bad it had gotten and how unaware I was of it. And so now that I've become more aware, I feel like I'm able to address it more and work on myself, and I'll get more into that I think a little bit later in the video. But to answer your assumption, yes, it is absolutely hard for me to come up with podcast ideas if I'm feeling uninspired in life. If I'm on a roll of feeling really inspired in life, it's so easy, and I'm excited about it. So it really just, my podcast genuinely reflects me and how I'm feeling in that very moment more than any other platform. It's a lot easier to fake it till you make it on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. But with my podcast, when I have to sit there and talk, if I'm not feeling it, it's gonna be way too obvious. I can't cover it up with editing or, you know, cool music or aesthetic clips, you know? Like, I can't cover up a bad day I'm having with a coolly edited video or like a funny video, you know? With a podcast, it's just my voice. So you're gonna hear it. Even if I'm not like, oh, I'm having a sad day, like, you're gonna be able to tell, you know? So to answer your assumption, yes, it is hard for me to come up with podcast ideas. The next assumption is you really wanna try out gender identities, but you're afraid of what people will think. So yes and no. The reason I'm saying yes and no is because for me personally, it really doesn't matter. I don't care what pronouns people refer to me as. I really don't care. And that is sort of a mindset shift I've had very recently. If you guys have been following along, I have a lot of self-identity crises, and sometimes it's a lot more prevalent than other times, and right now it's not super prevalent in the same way. I don't know how to explain it perfectly, but basically sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I don't know who the F I am. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to wear. I don't even know who I am. Like, it's so weird. And then some days I wake up and I'm like, I don't know what the heck to wear, but it doesn't affect me personally. And I know this is some sort of like gender struggle that I'm going through, but I think my mindset has shifted to, it doesn't matter if I know or if I don't know what I want to identify as, because regardless, I'm still me, and there's no reason to rush or to put pressure on it or to force something that I'm not sure if it's right for me in my life. So do I want to try out other gender identities? Maybe, but I feel like it'd be a really private thing, maybe even just within myself or with Avery. I don't think that's anything that I'd want to go public with anytime soon, especially if I'm just like playing around, feeling things out. I don't think I would do that in the public eye. I don't even know if I would inform any of my family or friends. I think it literally might just be like within myself and with Avery. But yeah, that's my answer to that. The next assumption is you've never worked a 9-to-5 job. So this is somewhat true, but also false. So no, I've never worked like an office job. Like you go in at 9, you leave at 5. Like it's very corporate. I've never necessarily worked a 9-to-5 job like that. However, I did work a job that was about 9 to 5, and I was a nanny. And I loved that job, you guys. I love kids. I've always loved kids. I'm gonna pat myself on the back for this one and say that I'm really, really, really good with kids. I think it's like just innate in me. I love kids and I'm good with kids, and I have the instincts of a mother, even though I'm nowhere near one. And I've always had it like that. Like I've always felt like that towards kids. And I'm just like a very motherly person. So it was like an amazing job. I loved the little boy that I nannied for. It was so cool. Like I nannied for a summer, but just watching him grow and develop within that summer was like one of the most rewarding things. And I still think to this day, that was the most rewarding job I've ever had, more than social media, more than any other part-time job, because like I literally was helping raise a human being. Like I was helping a human being grow and become a bigger human being. And that's like such a wild thing to me. And I am so grateful for that opportunity. It really was life-changing. And it also gave me a perspective because, I mean, I lived with my nieces, or I guess I didn't really ever live with my younger niece much, but I lived with my older niece for a while, for a lot of her life. And I felt like I already knew what it was like to like raise a kid, but you don't know until you are left alone with that kid, and no matter what happens that day, you are responsible, and you're responsible for getting them through the day, getting them fed, getting them changed, getting them bathed, interacting with them. And it was just more than you'd ever think, but so rewarding. And I would never go back in time and remove that from my life. It was by far one of my favorite stages of my life. I just felt so important, and it was just a really great job to have. So that's your answer. I did work that job. It was about 9 to 5. Sometimes I'd go in a little earlier, sometimes I'd leave a little later, but for the most part, it was 9 to 5, and I absolutely loved it. The next assumption is you don't want to actually be in school, but you don't want hate for leaving. So this assumption is not true. I definitely do not want to leave school. And the reason for that is because I'm so close to being done. I'm about to enter my senior year, and I already feel like I've been in school for like 20 years because originally when I first left high school, I went to a college that was a 3-year accelerated program. So in 3 years, I was gonna go straight through like all the summers, literally straight for 3 years and get a bachelor's. And that's when I wanted to be an ultrasound technician. So like I'm on an entirely different path now. But so originally I planned to graduate in 2020. And then I transferred a few times, whatever, and ended up in a 4-year psychology program, and so I was set out to graduate in 2021. But then I transferred again and again, and now I'm set to graduate this next year, so 2022. So already my graduation in my mind has been pushed back twice. So I have come way too far and spent way too much money to not get my degree. And I also genuinely want my degree. I know I don't really talk about school much, but I pride myself in my learning abilities and my schooling experiences and my grades. I, again, don't really talk about this much because I feel like it doesn't really relate to me as a content creator or my content, but I have a GPA that's very close to a 4.0. I'm actually not exactly sure what is specifically, but last time I checked it was a 3.9. I work hard for my grades and I'm very proud of them, and that's like something that I like hold myself to. I am strict with myself with my grades because I think education is really important in my life and it keeps me on track, it gives me a purpose, and that's sort of the kind of mental stimulation I need in my life. Studying and doing well on tests is really rewarding to me. And so no, I most definitely do not want to leave. And it's not the hate that I would be worried about. It would be like my own disappointment, like disappointing myself and feeling like I failed myself. That's what stops me. Do I have a full-time job? Yes. Does it pay better than I probably would ever get with a psychology degree? Most likely, yes. But do I still want my degree because I worked hard for it? Absolutely, I do. And also just to say that I have a degree. Like, honestly, it's a pride thing. I want my degree. And I don't want to be a therapist like I originally thought I did at this point in my life because I'm done out from a bachelor's degree. I do not want to go to get my master's right now, but maybe I will in the future. But also, there's a lot of stuff I can do with my bachelor's degree if I were to get like a certificate. Like, for example, right now, I really want to be a life coach. I think that'd be really awesome. I think I have the perfect platform for it. And I could be like, hey guys, I have these sessions open. Like, let's talk, let's chat. Life coach type of thing, right? I finish my degree. I get a quick life coach certification and boom, I have another career path. And something that I really like to do is involve myself in a lot of different things. So I don't ever want to just be making YouTube videos or just be making TikToks. I want to have my social media and my podcast and my clothing brand and then my life coaching. Like, that's sort of what I want to do with my life. I also want to be an author. So to answer your assumption, no, I do not want to drop out of school. The next assumption is you have everything in life that makes you happy, but you still feel like there's something missing. This could not be more true. This is something that I've felt my entire life, even just with the little things, but specifically now because right now at this point in my life, how do I put this? Like right now, me as a 22-year-old has the life that 16-year-old me dreamed of. Point blank. I have everything and more, like besides a car, but like whatever. Literally everything and more. I have what my younger self wanted. Everything. Like, and more. I cannot express that enough. I have what I thought would make me happy, and yet I still have the same struggles. I still feel the same internally, and I'm still me, and it's still my head. And I still beat myself up over the same things, even though I literally have the life that I was like, if I have that, I'll be set, I'll be happy. And yet here I am, and I still have the same struggles. So yes, that is absolutely true. The next assumption is you and Avery rarely argue. This is true. Do we get into disagreements? Do we sometimes annoy each other and get on each other's nerves? Or do we do something that bothers the other person? Absolutely. We are in a relationship. We're still relatively new. We've been together for over a year, but that's still new. And we're young. And learning how to live with someone and learning how to be in a serious long-term relationship, there's gonna be bumps. But what we're really good at is communicating, and Avery's better at it than I am, and I'll fully admit that. But when something bothers the other person, we talk about it, and we don't just let it like dwindle forever and ever and ever and ever. Again, we are not perfect, far from it, but we are happy as hell. And no, we do not argue much. In fact, we don't get in fights. We have talks. We get in disagreements, but we don't fight. And not putting my family down or really saying anything, but I have been in a not happy relationship family, right? My parents did not show me the most positive, happy, loving relationship and understanding relationship. And so now that I see what it can be, I work so hard. We work so hard to have that relationship, like have that happy, healthy relationship where you can express how you feel and get over whatever is bothering you. Avery's calling me, hold on. Oh my God, okay. I literally just had to get on a call, so we're back in action. I don't remember where I ended off with the whole me and Avery thing, but no, we don't argue very much at all. The next assumption is that you are really hard on yourself. Yes, I am my own toughest critic. Nothing is ever good enough for me, ever. I can reach this financial goal that I've been dreaming of my entire life, and I'm like, but you could have gotten more, you could have done better. And it is so toxic. I'm constantly comparing myself to not only other people, but to what I feel like is my potential. And the thing is, I'm comparing myself to a part of me that doesn't exist yet. So I'm like, why are you not making that much money? Why are you not at this place in your life? Like, why do you still think like that? Why do you still act like that? Like, this version of you doesn't do that. And it's like, well, that version of me doesn't exist because I'm constantly feeling this way. I'm constantly talking down to myself, undermining myself, making my accomplishments seem insignificant. It's so toxic. I will work on something and I will be so proud of it. And then like 1 second later, a split second later, I'm like, this is trash. No one cares about me. Like, I don't even care about me. How can I expect someone else to care about me? So yes, I'm so hard on myself, and this is really something that I want to work on like immediately, because it is impossible to live with. Like, I am so in control of how I think and act on a daily basis and who I am, and yet I still allow myself to treat myself so poorly. Like, I would never let someone else treat me that way, ever. Just moved my camera, sorry. But I would never, ever, ever let someone treat me the way I treat myself, and yet I've put up with it for 22 years. So I'm working on it, but yes, that's absolutely true. Okay, I know this is why you're all here, so I will just address it. The assumption is you got rid of your dog. So the short answer of this is no. I always see things like, what happened to Benji? Where is Benji? They got rid of Benji. I've seen really nasty things like Benji died, or really mean assumptions about us, about how we are abusing the dog because we didn't want him anymore, so we just gave him up. And wow, it's crazy how when you don't address something, how many rumors can come of it, or how many assumptions can come of it. So let me just explain. I've talked about this on my podcast, and I'm gonna talk about it on here now, and hopefully this will resolve any questions and we can just stop, because it's really frustrating for people to assume such nasty things about you, or just assume things when they're not true. And I guess that's on me, because I shared that part of my life and then sort of just stopped sharing it. I mean, to be fair, I don't owe my viewers anything. Like, what I choose to share and what I choose not to share is completely up to me and always will be. However, as a human being to a human being, I understand why you're curious and why maybe you're frustrated, and maybe you have a completely wrong idea of what happened in your head. So let me address it and let me tell you what actually happened, because what happened was nothing happened. Which is why I haven't really talked about it, because you're always like, updates, updates, and there are none. So, I mean, sort of. But, okay. So we brought him to her dad's house a few months back, and it was only supposed to be for like about a month. We never like had a set date, but he was gonna come back in like about a month. And I told you guys that and everything. But then life happened. again, we didn't get him like right after a month. We just like didn't get back over to Texas because we were busy with work and everything. And we just didn't get back over to Texas, which is where he is with Avery's dad. And then in May, we were like, well, we shouldn't bring him back because we're gonna have to go to New Hampshire for my brother's wedding. So let's just, we'll leave him there till after the wedding. But little did I know at that time, the week of my brother's wedding, my dad would get very sick and end up, well, I never really talked about what actually ended up happening, but he was having seizures, and I mean, to be honest, it really bothers me still. I know he's alive today, thank God, but the fact that it happened is still something I'm working through, and that's a huge reason why I'm going to therapy again. But basically he started to get very sick. He was in the hospital in not great condition, and we thought he had brain cancer. Turns out he didn't. He had something else and ended up in brain surgery and a lot. But I didn't know that when we originally brought Benji to Texas. And so now the wedding happened and my dad's sick, and I'm like, my brain's fried. I'm emotionally exhausted. I'm physically exhausted. I'm burnt out. I'm sad. I'm falling back into a depressive episode. I'm anxious as I've ever been. Like, so much on my plate, mentally and like work-wise and just life. And the brain surgery happened after he was already home and in the clear. So he was like, he got sent back home because he wasn't having seizures. But then later on, after I came back from Hawaii and everything, he was back in the hospital getting brain surgery because something else happened. I was overwhelmed and I just couldn't take another road trip to Texas, to be honest. But now here we are, and Benji has been there for months, and he has a huge yard and a pool. He loves to swim, and 2 other dogs, and somebody that's always home. And he's just honestly really happy there. And now he's, you know, grown an attachment to Avery's dad. And when we brought him, he was super young still. I forget how many months exactly, but it was like maybe 4, like super young. And so the majority of his life has been with her dad. And if we had never brought him there, I'm sure he'd be super happy with us. But now that he's been there and he knows that other dogs to play with in your house exist, and a big yard exists, and a big pool exists, and someone who's always home and always giving you attention exists, like, it's not my place to take a happy dog, out of a happy life and a happy situation because I miss him. Like, who am I to bring him back to a small apartment with no yard when he knows there's better and he's happy there? Like, really happy there and thriving and huge and has so much like physical activity and mental stimulation. Like, who am I to take him out of that? So was it sort of bad planning on our end? Absolutely. But am I going to take a happy dog out of a happy life? No. And that's just what we've decided and what we feel like is best for us and for the dog, Benji. And yeah, also, like I said, like, Avery's dad and Benji like each other, and the other 2 dogs are, one's really old, one's not old, but not a puppy, and they are very independent dogs, and Benji's not. Benji's super all up on you and always wants to be loved and given attention and gives you attention, and I think that's really good for him to have. I can't speak for him, obviously, but just from what we've seen, everything is just going happy over there. So that's your answer. We don't know if in the future, if we get a house with a big yard and a pool and feel like he'd be happier or equally as happy with us, we'll revisit. But for now, he's staying there because we feel like that is what's best for him and also what's best for us. So that's your juicy answer. The next assumption is you feel guilty often for things you shouldn't feel guilty for. Yes. I always feel guilty for anything good that I receive or anything that I do. If something good happens to me, I feel guilty and like it shouldn't have happened to me because I don't deserve it. And it's this big cycle of like, I mean, it relates to what I was saying before about how I'm just like my own hardest critic, but yeah, I definitely just feel guilty for no reason at all. Like, I feel guilty for speaking up. I feel guilty for saying what I want. I feel guilty for everything. So to answer your assumption, yes. The next assumption is you're a really sensitive person. Absolutely. I mean, I think that's obvious in all of my content. I am very sensitive and I'm extremely empathetic. I cannot be around someone without feeling their emotion, especially negative ones. Like, if someone's having a bad day, I cannot have a good day. I cannot break through their emotion to have my own emotion. It's a lot working through it, but that's just how I am as a person. And yes, I'm extremely sensitive and also extremely aware of my feelings, which is a blessing, but also a curse. So yes, definitely a sensitive person. The next assumption is you're a picky eater. This one's just fun and lighthearted, but no, I wouldn't say I'm a picky eater, but I would say I'm a specific eater. So like, there's not many things in this world that I don't like. Like, I don't like red meat and I don't like all seafood. That's pretty much it. Like, oh, I don't like pork either. Is that considered red meat? No, I don't think so. But besides that, there's nothing I don't like. Like, I like mushrooms, I like olives, I can handle tomatoes. I don't love them, but like, they're fine. Like, I'll eat anything as long as it's not with pork or beef or seafood I don't like. So no, I'm definitely not a picky eater, but I am specific with what I eat. Like, I don't really want to be putting really chemicalized packaged food like Lay's. I'd rather like a more healthier alternative to a potato chip if I'm gonna have a potato chip, you know? Like, instead of Lay's, I'll have like a healthy alternative, or instead of Takis, I'll have a healthy alternative, you know? Or just a healthier. I like to be mindful, but not picky. The next assumption is your mood can change really fast during the day. This is absolutely true. I think this goes along with what I was saying about how much an extremely empathetic person and sensitive, because oftentimes if someone else that I'm around is having a bad day, or something happens to me, like someone says something to me that bothers me or hurts my feelings, or I get stressed about something or whatever, it immediately changes the route of my day. Like, I will be having a happy morning, I get a text that stresses me out, and the rest of the day I'm stressed and like a ball of like emotion and just a wreck and anxious and just a mess. And again, that's something I'm working on. I think that is super preventable. I just take life really personally, and I take interactions really personally, and that's another blessing and curse, because does it help me sometimes? Yes, but does it harm me a lot? Yes. So the answer is yes, my mood does change really fast during the day, but I really think I can work through that through therapy and through self-reflection and journaling, and that's what I'm working on right now, but yes. That is true. The next assumption is you're very motivated and responsible. The answer to this is yes. I'm a highly self-motivated person. I always have been. I never really need someone to be like, hey, you better do that assignment, or like, hey, you gonna make that video? Like, I will remind myself first. And like, I'm very type A, I would say. Like, it's a little bit extreme. I'm like early is late to me, you know? I always like to show up early and have things prepared and whatever. But yeah, like, I trust myself with the world. Like, okay, for example, like Avery and I, when we travel, I always bring our passports and our vaccine cards, and like, nothing's gonna change that. Like, I know for sure I will never forget that stuff. If you ever if you ever need something to not get lost, give it to me, because I will put it somewhere and I will never forget where it is. Like, I remember where I put something 10 years ago. It's crazy, but I'm a very responsible person, kind of in every aspect, and motivated. So yes, that's true. Okay, the next assumption is also just a fun one, but it is you are a chocolate person versus a vanilla person. This is true. This has changed as I grew up, but when I was little, I was more of like a sweet vanilla type person, and now I'm like a chocolatey type person, like dark chocolate I love, milk chocolate I love desserts with chocolate in it. I don't ever order just like chocolate ice cream, but I like ice cream that has types of chocolate in it, like Oreos or whatever. And I like chocolate sprinkles over rainbow sprinkles. So Yes, I'm definitely more of a chocolate person. The next assumption is you come off confident with things figured out, but you are just like everyone else and struggle. This is very, very true. This is actually pretty relative to current life things, because it's become very aware to me that my insecurities and my self-hatred and my self-doubt present themselves as confidence and strong-willed and sort of arrogant. And it's ironic because I am so far from confident and I'm so far from sure of myself and I'm so far from like strong-willed within my mind. So it's funny that they present themselves that way. And so I'm sort of working on, instead of faking it, just becoming confident and actually feeling like I'm figuring things out. And then maybe I'll be able to present them in a more friendly way, in a more just a healthier way. But yes, that's definitely true, and a flaw of mine. Okay, this one is fun. The assumption is you've never smoked and you are not a party person. So sorry mom, but I have, and not much, but I have tried it. I don't really care for it. I mean, I don't like hate it with all my heart, but like I don't ever choose to do it. It was more of like a high school thing. But yeah, not really into it. I mean, like I can count on one hand how many times I've done it, but totally a personal preference. No shade or hate or anything to anyone that chooses to do things like that in their life. I could care less, but just not for me. And party person, no, I'm definitely not a party person. I do enjoy going out with friends and going to a party with friends once in a while. I don't really like college parties or basement parties or frat parties. Like I don't really like that stuff. It's just like a lot of nastiness and a lot of people I don't really know, or you know, I prefer to like have a party with people I actually like and care about and that are my friends. So yeah, and I actually was not a drinker at all for my whole life. Like before I was like maybe 20 or 21, yeah, I guess like 20, I like never drank. Like I probably drank like 3 or 4 times. But after I turned 21, my mindset with it sort of shifted. I think once I was able to like, because I never had a fake or anything, so I think once I was able to drink like casually, in the sense of like out to dinner, or like people would offer me like a mimosa at like breakfast or something like that. Like once it was more casual and not like you drink because you're at a party, my mindset shifted and I can have fun now. But in the past, it was like a big trigger thing for me. It made me really anxious, and it still sort of does. Not when I drink, but when people I love drink, it bothers me because it makes me really anxious when I'm looking at someone, talking to someone that I know really well and love so much, and they're like not that person. It really scares me. Comes from trauma earlier in life, but yeah, just how I feel. So no, I'm not a party person, but I do appreciate a fun time. But most of the time, I'd rather chill and I'd rather spend quality time with people, deep talks, beach days, coffee dates type of thing, you know? I'm more of a wake up early and get coffee rather than a stay up late and drink type of gal, you know? Okay, next assumption is you take it personally when your views fall. And then they said you shouldn't, you're great. Thank you so much. But yes, this is very true. And the reason for this is because social media is like my whole life. Sure, I'm a student, but like social media is my whole life. And when my views are down, I sort of take it as like, okay, people don't like me as much. It's sort of like, say everyone always invites you places, like you always have 10 people inviting you places, and then all of a sudden you only have like 2 or 3. It's like, I don't think people like me as much. And that's not even necessarily true. It's just that the few other people are now into something else, or they're no longer interested in hanging out with you at this point in time, but it's nothing against you. It's just that they're moving on as a person. And I think I have to sort of think of my YouTube videos and my TikTok videos and stuff like that, sort of like that. Like, sure, at one point I had this many people watching my videos consistently, but it's no longer that month and it's no longer that season. So it makes sense that, okay, right now people aren't watching this content as much, or people aren't interested in this content as much. And I do take it personally, but I'm really, really working on that. And I think I've been better about it. Like, end of the day, I make content because I love it. And I genuinely feel like if I no longer made money off of social media, I would get a job, but still continue to do social media because I genuinely love it. And I think I lost a little bit of my passion because I was taking views so personally, but I've been feeling a little bit more inspired as of late. I mean, literally the last few days. I sort of just have a new mindset. I self-reflected and I feel like I'm ready to create again. And I think recently I've sort of just been robotic. I think I mentioned that earlier in the video, but yeah, I definitely do take it personally, but that is something I am currently working on. The next assumption is you wish you had more friends. This is so true. It's not that I don't have friends, I do, but I lack close friends physically and metaphorically. So I lack friends that I'm very close to, I feel like I can tell anything to. I don't really have anyone that I can tell like everything to, and that I also feel like matches my energy and my effort. And I also don't have any friends that are close to me physically, like they're across the country, everywhere. So it's been hard because I sort of realized recently, again, I've done a lot of self-reflecting recently, but I sort of realized recently that I gotta get some friends if I want to be the best version of me. And so I've actually gone out of my way to make some friends recently. I'm hanging out with a new friend tomorrow. Me and Ava are going on a double date. And yeah, I'm excited but really nervous for that because I am a social person, but I also have social anxiety. So it's like constant battle inside my brain, but it should be fine. And yeah, I also have another friend who I think I might go shopping with because yeah, I don't know. I just think it'll be really cool to have friends close by that can be like, hey, wanna come over tonight? Or you wanna like go shopping? Because I love Avery to death. We love each other so much, but we have been each other's only physical close friend for over a year now. And it's time for us to sort of spread our wings and have other friends. Like we do, but we don't have any here. Like she has her friends back home and I have some friends back home, and we both have friends like throughout the country, but like we need friends that we can actually hang out with. So it's time for both of us to like get friends to hang out with, you know what I mean? So yes, I definitely wish I had more friends, but I'm working on it. I'm gonna end off the assumptions here. I am so glad I refilmed this because this one I definitely like conveyed how I was feeling a lot more and in a more like collected, positive way. The other video was just like pretty negative and like you could just tell I was not feeling my best that day. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you feel like you know me more. I hope you feel like I address things you want me to address, aka the Benji situation. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And also, might I just add, I feel like, I'm not sure, but I feel like my content is about to shift a little bit in a good way. I just feel inspired right now, and I don't know how long it'll last because sometimes I speak too soon and I'm like, I'm so excited to get back to vlogging and everything, and then I like still fall off. I don't know, but as of right now, right at this very second when I'm sitting here filming this video, I'm feeling very inspired, and I have the past couple days, and ready to make changes and sort of just shift my content, specifically YouTube, to something like to videos that I feel a lot more passionately about. And I want to be a lot more creative and artistic with them. So I hope you guys are excited. Make sure you subscribe to stay along for the ride, and like this video and comment, because that's what the YouTube algorithm needs in order for other people to see these videos. And yeah, get so excited for moving content. It's coming so soon. I moved September 1st, so the days are coming soon, and I'm pretty quick with my uploads. So if I'm moving September 1st, you should get content like pretty soon after. So get excited. And also back to school is coming soon because I start in like a couple weeks. Oh my God, I start like the day before I move. Bad timing. Okay, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye. Mwah.